To be fair,
fuck.
if anything is a pass, I think a shapeshifter literally getting your girlfriend's memory
Yes.
and body and personality, I think that's a pretty fair pass. All right, I'm just saying, I'm not condoning adultery.
But if my wife has a twin, I'm just saying.
I gotta say, it was dreadful. Dreadful. Down to the last minute detail. Did you get it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I had to ask.
Breaking news: The Boys season 4 is woke. I mean, The Boys has always been a woke show, but for the first couple seasons, it was actually a really good show at that. Season 4 is just a hot mess. The second I started watching season 4, I saw the direction that the season was going to go immediately. Because, again, as I said in the beginning, the show was always like a woke show. And this is what we're going to try to break down first. It's just kind of the political ideology behind the show. It was always woke. We always knew where the sympathies of the show was. But, again, first 2 seasons, it was simply like eye roll moments. It was like a scene here or two that just made you go like, okay, it's, this little like, women don't have power, or like, just the typical things that you see and this kind of
Well, there
stuff.
are times when I'd say not only is it like, where I'd say it's less eye roll, and sometimes it's more than bearable at some points, because
definitely.
because for example, with Vought basically just being really a criticism of really like of capitalism, how basically you turn something into just like what can happen when you with corporate greed, right? Superheroes, right? Something that should be like childlike wonder, right? That should be so innocent, pure, because all it is you're saving people. But they're showing that with capitalism, right? Greed can like twist it and pervert it into something dark, bloody.
Well, no, yeah, and at the beginning when it was just kind of like making fun of being overly patriotic, or like scenes with like Starlight at the on the stage where she's going like, listen, I don't think that that God would feel this way about certain things. Obviously, a critique on like the Christian ideas and the parody of kind of using religion to hype everybody up and kind of exploiting that to a certain extent. I get all that. And for the most part, it was bearable because the story was good, and it actually fit within the plot of those seasons.
Absolutely.
Season 3 was a little on the nose. I forgive it because at the very least, I still found a lot of the aspects of Billy Butcher's relationship with his previous wife and the whole dynamic between Homelander and his kid to be interesting. I found
his wife died in season 2.
What?
His wife died in season 2.
Thank you. You're actually correct.
Oh my god.
You're totally correct. I have not seen the first 3 seasons in over a year.
You should have rewatched them.
Yeah,
Bro.
seriously, I'm telling you, that must have been. I think I merged season 2 and season 3
No,
together.
I'm on the same problem. To be fair, Michael is fresh off the boat with this.
I
so
am
he has a lot of the
operating
detail.
under like less than 2
Correction.
hours of sleep.
You're absolutely correct. Sorry, I found a lot of the details between Homelander's relationship with Ryan to be at least fairly interesting.
Yes.
And kind of Butcher's sense of sense of guilt with everything.
Yeah.
When it came to season 4 in particular, I felt like they kind of sacrificed a lot of the plot elements in favor of the political ones. But not only the political ones, I also felt like they focused more on just having like shocking moments. And The Boys has always had shocking moments.
Sure.
And it was like, oh, wow, that's so graphic and vile.
Right. Guy and penis.
But again, it still had a pretty like cohesive story for the most part. And then you get to season 4 and it's just like, all right, instant in your face politics and super graphic scenes out of nowhere so that we can get our little Twitter moments. And that's all I really got from this season.
Yeah, one thing I've never really enjoyed all that much is whenever you have to use real life current events in order to influence your writing or to influence the audience into like seeing things in one perspective or another. Can you not come up with some sort of analogy that the audience can like form their own ideas instead of just being like, wait, that's Alex Jones. I hate that guy. I don't like her. She's Alex Jones. Oh my God. She's the bad guy. I can't stand that. Like, if you have to use real life stuff and just go off of people's existing opinions, not challenge them at all, you just throw it in their face and you're like, no, this person is this other person. And they make them so ridiculous that even if like you support the person in real life, you're like, okay, clearly like her entire motivation is just a beauty pageant when she was 13.
Okay, we are talking about Firecracker then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that bitch.
Yeah.
Okay,
She's
yeah.
Alex Jones.
Yeah. I just for context for them, like who, just so in case they didn't know what the fuck you were talking about.
I hope you've watched season 4.
I hope you've watched season 4. But yeah, Firecracker.
It's insulting and lazy and just a mark of bad writing whenever you can't allow your audience to interpret what you're saying in anything other than like a strict one-to-one analogy with real life. I have zero respect for it, and it's not from a like politically driven or anything like that. It's just lazy.
Yeah, you know, I think the biggest problem with season 4, the thing that really I think caused me to truly grow weary and exhausted from my adventure with the show, the series, was just honestly how bad and slow a lot of these character arcs were. A lot of these subplots, really. So there's like in season 4, there's like 10 plus subplots going on.
Absolutely.
They all feel like cheap video game side quests where I have to basically like find the fucking barrel full of fucking blueberries amid the thousands of barrels with raspberries instead. Like I think Homelander obviously I think has the best the best sequence of scenes in this fucking season, without question.
Yeah.
Oh, easily.
My favorite episode, which I believe was episode this, I could be wrong on this because at this point it is kind of blurring together, at least with the episodes. I think it was like 5, maybe, where Homelander, or it might have been 4, where Homelander was visited the people who those doctors, those scientists who basically abused him. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and he plays this whole like psychological game with them.
Brings the fucking ice cream cake or something to him, all that stuff. Bruh, fucking incredible.
Loved it.
And I also really like his scenes with Ryan, his son, because, and here's the thing, Homelander is my favorite character, not because I look up to him, you dummies, idiots. It's because he's just the most interesting person on screen every time I'm watching this fucking show. When I first watched The Boys in season 1, Homelander was like I think like he was like the 3rd most enjoyable character to watch on screen. Back then it was like I actually really liked to watch, seeing William Butcher and even Huey actually. I really thought Huey was an interesting character of like being thrust into this world. And how he was going to grow and mature during all of these times of strife. Honestly, it got more boring as the series went on.
Oh.
Because I feel like I sometimes feel as if he hasn't really grown much until we got to the part with the scene with him and his dad, where I think there really showed a lot of growth with him, and I'm willing to forgive his overall character arc because they really landed that last scene between him and his dad. But Homelander like has from season 1 and onward, like while everyone's been like downgrading for me, he's just continued to improve in my eyes as not a good person, obviously, but like hit the intrigue with Homelander. I find him super compelling and interesting. And like, I'm not going to defend his actions because I just can't. I like how you can explain why he is the way he is, but you can never defend him. But you can it makes sense why he turned out the way he did.
Yeah, his character is at least easy to follow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unlike some of the characters in this season. Now, I will agree with you. Homelander is one of those characters that did get much better as the series went on. And I will say, ultimately, I don't know, for the most part, I personally didn't really like Butcher's character this season. I didn't really like him last season either.
Yeah, hence why I said, like, again,
Yeah, he was my
Butcher's
favorite when
yeah.
the show started out,
Mhm.
and he has gone on a downward spiral for me personally. Ironically, a lot of his horrible elements are more present in the first 3 seasons, and I was almost on board when they try to make him more of a sympathetic character, and then just like one small little thing that Ryan does kind of just completely flips his character all the way back.
You mean killing the Colonel?
Yeah, but again, that whole scene, that whole build up was unsatisfying to me, particularly, and it just seems like a little bit of a stretch to see. It doesn't necessarily seem like a stretch. I will say it does to some extent fit his character, but again, the build up to it all was unsatisfying to me, and so I was ultimately dissatisfied with Billy Butcher kind of just flipping all the way back to how he used to be in the first 2 seasons.
Oh,
I could not disagree
yeah,
more.
no, because like Grace
Man.
was like, I thought that him and Grace were like pretty fucking tight. By the way, like I thought they were like, I know they hadn't been friends for fucking years, but I'm pretty sure Grace meant a great deal to William. Sorry, Butcher.
Mhm.
His first name is
Yeah.
William, though. I'm not wrong to say that. And I guess I can kind of see where you're coming from, though, where I'm trying to remember if from Butcher's point of view, if Ryan has failed like him or failed to be the bigger person multiple times, because there are plenty of instances in the show where Ryan kind of, does things like takes pleasure in doing bad things like his father. But I don't recall Butcher witnessing
He doesn't.
multiple instances of that.
Yeah.
Well, so my whole thing on it is I actually think because you look at just purely Butcher's motivation for it and then
Mhm.
his plan is that he is motivated. I loved having Becca's voice in the back of like her actual physical presence, but it serves as like a voice in the back of his head to everybody else. I loved having that as like an in your face influence on him because it's the chain that holds him back and just reminds him of his humanity and gives him an alternative way of dealing with things instead of just turning Ryan into a weapon. And then you have the other the devil on his shoulder that tries to do that the entire time. And so Butcher's plan is to have Ryan go live with the Colonel,
Grace. Yes.
Grace. And what was weird to me was originally the plan was supposed to just be he just stays there and lives a normal life and nobody ever finds him again.
Yeah.
I don't know when Grace's plan turned to using him as a weapon.
To be honest, I thought they had to expedite their plan because of the whole coup thing. I don't remember, to be honest.
I guess I just don't know like what situation they would expect Ryan to win against Homelander because that's crazy.
Oh no, I don't think they expect him they don't expect this to happen within a week or a month. I think they're like, we were going to ease him into it like where he lives a normal life, but now we need to really start training him now. So instead of 20 years, maybe it'll be like 15 years instead.
Yeah, they even stated that while she was like kind of relaying the plan, like with some kind of training, that you're our only chance of actually defeating Homelander.
Yeah, but they didn't need to tell him that all right there.
Oh well,
that
yeah,
was a
well,
weird.
Of course not. But again, I think Grace as a very human response to what was happening, is freaking out that Vought, Homelander, is really essentially about to take over America, like truly.
Well, now you get to a point where Butcher's only plan, his only backup of having Ryan live with Grace is completely out the window. And he only has one thing to turn to, and that's to give in and just go on a complete rampage.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that the whole season, was for him to just break the chain and just go off. And it makes total sense to me.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm more on Mikey's side of it, to be honest. To be frank. Because I mean, we got because we did get multiple scenes prior of Butcher really trying to connect with Ryan and to get him to take him or get him back without resorting to what old Butcher would do.
And he wasn't
Right.
trying to change. He was just trying to fit the plan into what Becca would have wanted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, and hence why I like the angel on his shoulder, which was Becca, and the devil on his shoulder, which was I forget his name now. Shit.
I don't remember.
I never cared to learn the guy's name. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry.
I don't have a problem with wanting to return to like that kind of Butcher that's on a rampage. In fact, I actually do like seeing that kind of Butcher.
Sure.
My problem is the build up leading to that seemed a little ridiculous to me.
Right.
On the basis that, first of all, Butcher never witnesses Ryan do like genuinely horrible things. He only witnesses Ryan trying to be a good person and trying to be the best that he can. And on top of that, when he actually gets there, he's playing Connect 4, I felt like Grace's response was too fucking quick. Amelia's like, I heard what you're talking about. And then she immediately says, listen, we have to destroy
Right,
this whole
I
building. And
completely
it's just
agree,
like, bro, it caused me to roll my eyes a bit. And
I'm with it.
and on top of that, when he actually does the action to kill Grace, it's a purely kind of like in the moment reactionary thing. Like it's so obvious there wasn't any kind of intent. You can just tell like he was just like, yeah, get out of my way, and he was
Right.
like frustrated.
Oh.
And like I can understand to an extent Butcher being Butcher why he wouldn't really just accept that. But to me it just felt like something that just snap out. All right, Butcher's like, all right, fuck it. After this whole like season of arc of trying to fight morals, now trying to fit my plan into Becca's plan, I'm all of a sudden gonna go on a rampage. It seemed too quick, and it felt like they're just trying to wrap that plot line up real quick. To me, that's why I had a problem.
I just don't know what the alternative is. He knows he's about to die. There's not exactly much time. I mean, even if he needed to make a character change before he dies, he would have had like a day or two at the most.
I know. It just to me it felt like a quick scene to
I mean,
kind of return to formula.
I will say it could have been done a lot better.
It was not done well, in my opinion.
Mm.
I don't have a problem with the concept with it. I have a problem with the execution.
Sure.
I felt like the execution was lazy.
Yes, I think it is serviceable enough to get the point across, but it could have. But I'm not here to watch something that is serviceable.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Mikey that it gets the job done, basically for what they're trying to accomplish, but doesn't do it well enough in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing I think is weird. This is a small thing.
Oh yeah.
But like whenever Ryan pushes her to the wall, you just hear that awful sound of like her skull just being crushed. There's no blood on the wall though, nor is there blood pulling from her head.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was like,
Also, another problem that I had with it, I know there's scenes of Ryan kind of connecting with his dad and in a way becoming a mini Homelander.
yeah,
However, Ryan has seen Homelander do a ton of awful shit.
yeah.
So it's a little ridiculous to believe that he's not capable of doing awful shit. When Grace goes, I was like, your father did all these horrible things. He's like, no, you're lying. It's like, you saw him kill a man in front of you. You have saw him go on a rampage. You saw him cheer you on for killing someone else. And you're telling me that you're that much in denial? I was like, well, he's just a kid. No. Like, it seems a little ridiculous to me.
I do wish if he was going to do the denial thing, I wish he had just leaned into what Homelander was telling him of like, he killed insects. He killed people who don't matter.
Yes,
Mhm.
I was
That
actually
would have
literally
been-
just about to say that.
Oh, and then and then Butcher hearing him say that and then kill
Then
Grace
comes-
and then
yes.
runs out. That I think would have been.
No,
But-
you know what's funny? Mikey literally just said exactly what I was after you guys were going to be done talking. I was going to set up a scene. He was like, "Now imagine if they did this,"
Yeah.
and you already did it, and that
Sorry,
was great.
man.
No, that's fucking that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I'm glad that I'm not the only one who thought of that.
Yeah, so it's like a complete just like it just baffled me.
Right.
And of course him being in character, he had a problem with the fact that he killed someone. Now he's just like, You know what? And it was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, there's like one scene where he was in the context helping someone, even though it seemed Homelander-esque. When he was helping someone, sure, he was like kind of embarrassing him, but he was still doing a good thing. So it just seems a little weird for him to be like, okay. It's I don't know. That whole like scene, given the fact that he knows that Homelander has done horrible things, and that whole just instantaneous change with Butcher was completely unsatisfying.
He also, man, he went into like a crisis whenever he threw that guy across the city into a building. And then he does the same thing to Grace, who means so much more to him, and doesn't even bat an eye. That should have been, like, he still could have run off, and the outcome still could have been the same, but man, a little bit more emotion out of him of like, oh, fuck, it happened again.
He seems like he just basically like,
I did what I had to do and then ran off. It's like, no, man, come on, give something.
that felt forced.
It felt very forced. Just one thing, like as a general character arc sort of thing, because they did this for every single character, is that they would dive into some horrible shit that either they did or happened to them in the past, and it was every person, every single person has skeletons in their closet or bad shit that happened, and it's like, okay, you give it like the number of people who have like truly traumatic shit that affects them into adulthood is not that much. Like, it's not every single person, and it's really annoying whenever the writers would write in like really like simple stuff for the good guys to overcome. Like Starlight had to overcome talking shit as a 13-year-old. But then they use that same exact thing to make the character motivations for Firecracker completely absurd and ridiculous. Like, you went on this entire crusade as an adult because she talked shit to you when you were 13. It's really annoying because they use it on one side to make it something for the good guys to have overcome already. Like, they're a new person, but then the bad guy is still holding on to it, and it's completely ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's how I felt about most of the character arcs.
And on top of that, the fact that it's just used as an element to introduce completely new character arcs this season instead of building upon the pre-established character arcs that you already had, just seemed a little pointless to me. Like, you have the whole dynamic with Frenchie is a good example like that. He goes in this whole like crisis of like, oh, I'm just a bad person. Which seems a little odd. Like, first of all, Colin just randomly introduced, and of course they needed Frenchie to fuck a guy. Dude. I get it. They needed to check that box. Whatever. However, the random just like, oh yeah, I killed his family,
dude. I'm sorry. Dude, I'm sorry. For me, I was like, yes, I killed your family. Now I want to fuck you. that was like that. That's Frenchie this season. I killed your family. Now I wish to fuck you. Your tight little asshole.
And what was so insane to me about it is the second he lets Colin know, Colin just punches him a few times. Yeah. He's not in the story anymore. He was just super there easy to put Frenchie into crisis mode, and to have this whole like, I'm a bad person art. He was basically just a tool for his storyline, and that's what irritated me the most. Is that the second he served his purpose, he was gone.
Yeah.
Wow, that's like an analogy or something. How weird. Dude, man, that whole thing. You're right. You're completely right. They would just throw in random things that happened. The abortion.
Oh my God! Yes,
stuff that happened. Like they.
Oh shit!
I mean, the Narcotics Anonymous, all this stuff that happened supposedly like while we're watching this show. This was apparently happening in the background, and then they just get to season 4 and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, during like I don't know, like season 2 or season 3 or something, Starlight had an abortion. Yeah. How crazy is that? Like
that is a prime,
it is crazy. You didn't talk about it.
That is a prime example of lazy writing. You cannot establish drama off of things that happened off screen.
Also,
we as an audience can't follow things that did not happen on screen.
Wait. Also, okay. I could be remembering this wrong. Okay, I could be remembering this wrong. But I thought it was a big deal when like home, and again, I know this is Starlight who's a chick and Homelander who's a dude, but it was like a big deal. Basically, supposed to be impossible for Homelander to get a chick pregnant. So I thought it'd be like the same vice versa, where be like it might be seen as like impossible for a chick to get pregnant. Don't you think like
It's interesting.
again don't you think Vought would have been like, wait, Starlight got pregnant so she could give birth to
Right.
natural superheroes?
You're right.
That would have been such a big deal to Vought. I was expecting that to be some big fucking thing for Vought. Like, we need to get her now. Like, bam, we have like we have it's free real estate, baby.
Yeah, the only
Nothing,
purpose
though.
I saw behind that scene was two things. Again, to make a political point, and
Yeah.
and to kind of put a motivation in Starlight. When they didn't have, again, there's so many other directions you could have taken it if you just took the material from the first 3 seasons, but they just decided to be like, oh yeah, she had abortions. Like, those are my fucking medical records. And I was like, bro.
Oh,
That you look at. Oh, I'm sorry.
no, you're good.
The problem that whole thing just packages up my criticism with all of the character arcs like perfectly, because their whole thing, it was something that was super simple for all of the good guys to like justify, was like, oh, it's nobody else's business. Oh, they illegally released my medical records. We had to do it. Oh, I couldn't bring a baby into this world.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
the entire opposition was, God hates you for that. And then they just
Yeah.
play it as all of the bad guys are ridiculous because they just, it's none of their business.
Yes.
And they're,
Mhm.
but so like they're internally struggling with it, but they're really not, because the whole wrong side of it is just wrong, and you don't have to worry about them.
The thing that also was kind of a one scene that was annoying was in the scene where they're spreading Huey's his dad's ashes, right, while they're going on that tour. There was a random protester dude who had the red fucking
I was
cat,
just thinking about that.
and he was like, abortion is murder. You're a murderer.
Oh, yeah.
And they treat him as if he's like a fucking vile
Right.
pig, evil.
It was like, hey,
stuff like
fuck
that.
you, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
And
Then he just like walks off.
I know, right? That is so cartoonishly
It's
fucking
so cartoon.
stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
And
a lot.
also, like, really, man, like, I was trying to enjoy this like scene of like them kind of like like the special thing that they're trying to do for Huey's dad and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And of course, they have to bring fucking more politics into this shit. How like, oh, it's dumb for you to consider abortion to be murder. Like those kind of guys are just idiots.
Yep,
you know?
that's exactly
That's
what
all
it
it was.
is. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you really
bad
would
guys
have
are all
been a
idiots.
perfectly serviceable scene, and you had to bring politics into it
Mhm.
overtly. I may add. Yeah. God.
Yeah, even people like Sage,
Ugh.
because like they tried to play this as like a character with depth, but they
No.
just, all they did was they said, oh, okay, so we'll give her like good motivations, and it's just racial politics and feminism, and so that's her depth. And then she's still gonna be a bad guy though.
Mhm.
It's like, so she's gonna be Thanos. It's like, it's
Yeah.
like it doesn't work, because only one side of your audience, like one half of your audience, thinks that there's any depth to that. The other side of it is like, she's a stereotype.
Yeah.
That's all she is. She's a walking stereotype. It couldn't be more one dimensional, but you think that she's like 7 layers deep because she has other motivations, and her character goes deeper than just being a bad guy.
Well, also, but Mike. Welcome back from the edit.
Welcome back from the edit.
Sorry, I had to add more work for Jacob.
By the way,
So-
Oh,
just because
he
you're
gave
the
you a
smartest
blanket.
person doesn't make you like a genius strategist or a
Yes.
psychologist or anything like that.
Yes,
Yeah, oh my
intelligence.
gosh.
Yeah, so just because you are big brain person with who's smart. Like again, there's different forms of intelligence. Like how is she the smartest? But she's just like what knows everything. I don't even remember.
Yeah, I don't know what the mechanics of it were, but basically her brain just constantly regenerates. So I'd imagine they're trying to make it akin to like how if you work out, you tear muscle and
Right.
then build up scar tissue, and so like that's how her brain would work. It's
Ah.
just like on a more
I'm not sure
don't
about
know.
that one. Well,
I have no idea how mechanically how it would work.
my big problem is that they kind of like waits to introduce the whole lobotomy and aspect of her brain healing. It seemed a little odd to just like, oh, I want to have sex, and then like, oh, well, I do this because I get a lobotomy. By the way, my brain can regenerate. Oh, well, that was a detail you kind of missed out on.
Also, like, I'm told that she's really smart, like super smart.
Mhm.
I don't see a lot of that though. You know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like
If
I'm not seeing her genius on full display.
No.
It's like akin to like a badly written Sherlock Holmes scene, where it's just, again, this goes further, where it's like, ah, yes, this was my plan all along, you see,
Right.
and now the
Exactly.
president's gonna call you, and you're like,
No, and that's the thing.
what?
So
Ugh.
in a smarter show, right, you would have been given some breadcrumbs, right? You
Mhm.
would have been given some evidence that if you were paying attention, you would have been able to figure out what that plan was. However, like with a lot of shows that are both average and terrible, in this case, Boy Season 4, I think it's like kind of in between that. Yeah, it goes with the, oh, this was my plan all along, as you were talking about, Liam, where,
Mhm.
and it's lazy. It's really just, it's boring, uninspired. There's really nothing to like about Sage.
And the idea that she would somehow protect, even if she's super smart, again, on your point, doesn't make you an excellent strategist,
No.
even if you are intelligent. The fact that she can just, with her brains alone, predict that everything would go perfectly right, and the whole plan, again, and we go to like even Newman's death being a part of the plan. I was like, first of all, how did anyone find out about Newman's death like almost instantaneously? Because obviously it didn't happen that long ago after it was reported, and that seemed a little ridiculous to me. And how did Sister Sage in particular know that Newman was going to have a change of heart, go to the boys, and that Billy Butcher somehow was going to have tentacles come out and rip Newman apart? That seems fucking absurd to me.
Oh, also, was it part of Sage's grandmaster plan to get fucking, what was it, shot in the head or hit in the head to where she couldn't fucking give the speech for Homelander when they were at that party for the 1% of the 1%? Was that part of her grandmaster plan?
Exactly.
Because fuck, man.
You're
If it wasn't
absolutely
for the
right.
fact that Newman was like, just took one for the team and like fucking, gave that speech for, in Sage's stead, they would have been Dunsky,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she was just guessing that the boys were resourceful enough to figure out some way to kill Newman, because they,
It's just,
or maybe they knew. Well, wait, because Newman was gonna run anyways. Like she was gonna take off and just skip town,
Mhm.
right? So she wouldn't have been president anyways.
The vice president.
Well, but
the plan though was that they were probably just going to kill the
yeah,
actual
they're gonna kill the
president to
president,
make
establish
her.
her. Yeah.
they wanted to frame the actual president for trying to kill the vice president, but then also get her out of the picture by having her skip town. I have no idea.
No, this
honestly,
plan
yeah,
is
you're right.
bonkers.
No,
Plan
it
makes
is.
no
Oh yeah,
fucking
yeah.
sense.
It literally, yeah. No, I completely agree. It's also something that's as simple as the whole thing could have just gone exactly the way it did, and then she makes a quick phone call to the congressman who's gonna be the next president and be like, "Hey, Homelander's gonna kill you if you don't do this, so give him a call."
Yeah, it felt like they were a little bit more concerned with having like the whole like January 6th element play a more important role than the actual storytelling element
Yeah.
behind it. They're like, yes, there's the plan to kill the president on January 6th. I'm like, bro,
Bruh.
maybe if you're gonna go with that angle, maybe try to write the whole like grandmaster plan a little bit better, because honestly, it's just coming out like a bunch of bullshit now.
What you think of the little message at the beginning of the finale saying that any real events are purely coincidental and not intentional?
Yes.
Whoa.
That's,
Whoa.
yeah.
For context, President Trump, former President Trump just got shot.
And probably no thanks to a show like this, which puts people ideas
Yep.
in people's head that the right wing is this like evil like philosophy that will take over everything and enslave the minds of the multitude.
The right,
Shows like this don't help in those cases.
Yeah, the creator of the show going on and outright stating, yeah, no, this is literally meant to reflect American politics. We are left wing, and this is satire of Trump and right wingers.
I think the funniest part of it is the way that the show tries to portray like right wingers is like the dominant political force in America.
That's comical.
That is comical. I'll forgive it in the context that it's trying to do for its story.
Yeah.
But it's just a side point because it's so ridiculous to me that there are people that actually believe that. But yeah, that whole little message is like, we do not support political violence. Like,
Dude.
you sure aren't helping
Dude,
helping it.
Seriously. Yeah, this is not the message of unity that he seemed to be going
Like,
for.
you spent the whole like show basically. You in season 3,
Tuesday.
you had a literal Nazi.
It hurt when
Yeah,
you did
literally,
that.
yeah.
You had a literal Nazi
Yes.
portrayed as a right winger.
Influencing the guy who's supposed to be President Trump.
Yes.
Basically. That's, yeah.
Like, don't come at me with that whole we don't believe in political violence. It's like you are the cause of it.
And then you pretend like the general people, like the generic people in the show, like the citizens and all that, are just going to be influenced in mass to just be automatically drawn to Nazis and throwing people in prison and stuff like that.
Yeah. In season 2 of The Boys, back when Stormfront.
That's their shipping name, okay?
Yeah,
That's
Stormlander.
awesome.
That's my favorite ship. But Stormfront, look, to be fair, she's basically female Homelander, except either way. So Stormfront, I mean, when she was getting her fans riled up to basically, because there was a whole scene of an average Joe who I think was going to college probably. I don't really know for certain, but he's just going about his life. But he actively listened to Stormfront, and all because he saw like light in like a random shopkeep's eye or whatever, just because it was like just light reflecting off of glass or something. I don't remember exactly now, but yeah, he basically he killed a guy, all because like he was trying to protect America or whatever. You know? I mean, so they've been doing this kind of stuff since like season 2, and I think it was just as overt.
Again,
Yeah,
you're right. And that's the whole thing in the message beginning is there's a lot of people that are like, you're just realizing the show's about you now. It's like,
again,
we always knew it.
I got that back in
yeah.
season. I even got that back in season 1. But you know the difference in season 2, they had really good writing to back it up.
Yeah.
They had really interesting characters to back it up. Now it's like that's all the show has become now. All it is the satire.
It's exacerbating the elements that were shocking or made commentary, and that's the biggest problem. And instead of, you can have all that you've had in the previous seasons, and you know what, most people are willing to be more receptive to your ideas if they like your characters, if they like your story, and they like the direction your show is going. However, when you take all that and you make that the primary focus, you're going to turn people off.
Man, going into that, I get that shock and gore is kind of the boys' MO, but it's going way, way over the top. Just for deeper messaging, man. The emasculation of like every single guy character in the show, just it got really, really annoying. And then it's all done to prop women up. Like that's really what you have to do to prop women up, is to emasculate every single guy. Have scenes of them walking in on some dude eating, like
his
going in
ass.
a human centipede chain, eating his own ass out. And Tech Knight is dude, what the every character, really? Every character?
So
Come on,
I will
man.
say, I had heard that this was before I even watched The Boys. I have a friend who told me one of his favorite characters was Tech Knight. I didn't know anything about Tech Knight beforehand. No. Apparently from the comics is what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, Tech Knight in the comics is like really cool and interesting.
I bet he is.
Yeah,
And he should have been in this show.
Again, I had no context though coming into the show, and so I finally got to Tech Knight. I was like, oh, he's just another generic like fucked up superhero.
Yeah, he's racist. He literally has slaves, and he's supposed to. He's supposed to be,
yeah.
like a racist Bruce Wayne. I mean, it's just
So Bruce
you've got
Wayne.
Alfred. You've got Black Alfred and all that, and so all of his servants turn against him as soon as he's vulnerable, and it's like it was. Are you just waiting on me to
Jacob,
finish
you
it?
can walk through the frame.
Yeah, what
It's
the
okay.
fuck are you doing?
That's the
That's
nature
more-
of our show, my friend.
Yeah.
I
I was
appreciate
about to say, Jacob's really bored. He's just moving around right now.
Yeah. So basically, Jacob is here, obviously, but he basically was too lazy to watch The Boys.
And
so
two
really,
nights like Michael.
He's in the cuck chair right now.
the thing that's really sucks
Oh,
is
yeah,
that
fuck you.
you
fuck
know
you.
Liam and I put in the most work on this podcast. We do a lot of work. Charles, he does his best. He comes up with stuff to do from time to time.
Okay.
But Jacob just sits on his ass and doesn't do anything.
He's about to have a Frenchie
Kinda
character
just-
arc. Dude.
Oui. You tight little asshole. Is that what
Okay.
Bro, that whole man. I hate whenever shows just have to I feel the need to emasculate men just to try to make a point.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Oh, the reverse proposal.
Oh.
So, okay. To be fair, though, to that scene, it is just that was the shifter.
I know.
Annie being a fucking sociopath.
Yeah.
To try to defend it, but again, I'm pretty sure they were still going for the whole. What they were going for, what you're going to bring up, but again, you know what? Say your piece on it, and then if I have to defend it, I will.
No, because I understand exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Like, it was intentional. The shapeshifter was just trying to fuck things up. But they were talking about it to their friends. They're like, oh, technically she proposed to me.
It was like, oh, smash
they're
the
like-
patriarchy.
Yeah, exactly. So they're
Yeah.
still trying to normalize it in the show.
Yeah, like if it was just that scene, that would have been one thing. And again, that's a prime example of how The Boys was in season 1 and 2, where it was just like a high roll moment where
Right.
you're like, all right, whatever, you got your piece out of the way, let's get back to the story. So for the most part, that was probably one of the less offensive scenes, in my opinion. Even with the additional like smash the patriarchy comments. Again, that felt like a typical eye roll moment. That didn't
Yeah.
feel like what the show was doing at the beginning of the season, or was clearly trying to like portray a very non-subtle like political dynamic between the conservative right and the liberal left.
Yeah, I will say though, the whole the scene with Huey dressed as the spider dude, I don't remember his name.
Web Weaver.
Web Weaver.
That's right.
So the scene with him in the chamber with Tech Knight and Ashley, I know it was really made out to be played for like laughs. Apparently, I just did not like that entire.
Oh.
Yeah, I felt uncomfortable the
No.
entire time.
And apparently, and now I haven't seen anything I haven't seen it, so I don't know if this is true. But I was told before I watched the show that so I was kind of actually prepped for this scene without really realizing that I was going to get prepped for this scene. That the showrunner actually thought that, or like when they made that scene for the show, it was made for comedy. It was made for humor, and he thought it was super funny. But then, I'm trying to. But then he plays up the whole scene between when Annie and Huey get reunited. That like apparently like Huey is in the wrong for sleeping with
the shapeshifter.
Shapeshifter.
Oh
or
my
whatever.
god, that was so annoying.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
though I don't know if that's true though. I don't know if that's what the showrunner's actual goal was because I haven't seen anything on it and I wasn't interested. enough
Hold
to
on, what
watch
was the correlation they were trying to make between the dungeon, like the whole like
Yeah, so
dungeon
how
scene and then
basically
how-
they were playing that up for like for laughs that Huey was not like that like nothing was like bad was happening, or nothing tragic was happening or whatever, But with when Huey, but with Huey and the shapeshifter thing, right? And then eventually when Huey has a discussion with actual Annie, that like she's in the right to be angry at him, that he is in the wrong or something. Again, I have no idea if that is the case, because I haven't actually seen behind the scenes of him saying that. Just because I didn't have time to watch that because we were trying to film this.
Well,
Huey does have a breakdown after that scene.
Yeah, that's
okay.
It's
Okay,
kind of
good.
tied in with his dad dying, but
Okay, gotcha. Well,
it's where he looks at Annie and he's like, I'm not doing okay. But also, he was talking to the shapeshifter. So
Okay, sorry. That I don't think those two scenes. That was a little bit confusing there. But
I think I know what you're talking about.
yeah, it seems like a weird like kind of connection. I don't think those two
No,
scenes.
I'm not
What he's saying is, if there's going to be like sexual deviancy, it's whenever it happens to Huey, it doesn't matter. Whenever Starlight feels
Okay.
cheated on for no reason, then
It was a
it's-
sudden switch up
Yeah.
when we were talking about it.
Is that-
That's what confused me for
Sure.
a second. But yeah, no, I totally agree with the point that you're putting out, and I rolled my eyes at the whole like. I was like, you should have known it
slept
wasn't me.
with
I was
her?
like,
Oh,
to be fair,
fuck.
if anything is a pass, I think a shapeshifter literally getting your girlfriend's memory,
Yes.
and body,
Yeah.
and personality. I think that's a pretty fair pass. All right, I'm just saying, I'm not condoning adultery. I don't think that you should sleep with other women if you're in a committed relationship.
But if my wife has a twin, I'm just saying.
But I think if there's a literal shapeshifter that's able to get all your memories and copy your body, there's a little bit of room for forgiveness there. When he realizes, oh shit, that wasn't her.
Now, I will say again, whatever the showrunner's intentions were, when I was watching, that was good. When I was watching the scene itself, though, I didn't necessarily get the vibe that they were trying to make it out to where Huey was in fact in the wrong and Starlight is justified in her anger. Again, when I was watching, at least this might be just what my thought process was. Like, no, obviously she is blowing this way out proportion in the sense of like, no, this isn't his fault, and you saying that he should have realized, sooner is just ridiculous.
Bro.
And what's up?
Continue.
Oh no, I'm hoping that it wasn't the showrunner's intention to actually, make it out to where she's obviously in like the right and justified to be pissed at Huey.
Oh,
I don't because again, I'm only told that by someone else who might be biased.
I don't think that is the writer's point. I think the writers
Yeah.
were ultimately trying to point out that, yeah, she should forgive him because she ends up doing it like a couple minutes later.
They should have
Um,
never even.
It seemed like it was a pointless add-on, and it doesn't make any sense from a character motivation sense.
Right.
Because she goes on this whole thing. It's like it's like you didn't recognize it was me because that was the version of me that you wanted, the one that had sex all the time with you. It was like, he's a fucking dude. Okay,
Oh
listen,
yeah, that's
if you're
right. She
if
did
you
say that.
if you are a woman and you come on to your boyfriend in a very sexual manner,
We're excited.
listen,
We're happy.
the dude's gonna be like, it's not that he sees you as less of, but she was making the move on him, and then you're just like, you just didn't see me because she was the version of me that wanted to have sex all the time. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's right. I completely forgot that she said that. That
I
was
like,
one of her points.
Bro, of
So
course.
fucking
Like you're
stupid.
going after a guy for having sexual urges. Oh, but flip it. By the way,
Flip
Yes.
it.
flip it, and you go after a woman for being too promiscuous.
Yes.
Oh boy.
How
Oh
dare?
boy. Oh boy. It's just like, come on, seriously, dude. Yes, of course. Huey is awful. When the person that he thought was you was making sexual advances and wanted to have very kinky sex, he as a guy was like, oh yeah.
Also, his dad just died.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
He
He was
might
a little bit
just not
entitled,
be-
all right.
He might just not be focused on his girlfriend acting differently.
Or
My
again,
bad.
maybe for him it's like, well, hold on,
man.
because shapeshifter Annie did find out obviously that like his dad died, right? I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to recall.
Well, that's the thing. They don't ever tell you when the swap happened.
right.
no,
Right.
they do.
Do they, wait,
Yeah,
what?
that late. It's very, very, very small moment,
Yeah.
and it's easy to pass over if you look away from the screen for like 2 seconds. But when Annie was in the bar, that woman that took a photo with her, that was revealed to be the moment where the shapeshifter took over.
That's dumb.
Yeah, it is dumb. No, I agree.
Yeah.
It's such a small incident because they just have this one scene where everyone's in a bar and they just have this one person who's like, "Hey, can I take a photo with you?" And then like they don't even focus on it. Like it's just a quick
Right.
scene. They don't even show her walking away.
Yeah.
They literally just show her asking for a photo, and then later on they show that they walked away with her and that they switched bodies, which is, listen, the only thing you had to do was to have her say a line saying, "Hey, let's go over here," to actually show her leave
Right.
and go off screen. You cannot just show her walking up, asking a question. Who's like, "Can I take a photo?" Cut to the whole next scene without any context, and then show like later on, "Oh yeah, she actually walked away with Annie and then took over Annie's body and locked her up in a basement." And again, if you're not paying attention for like 2 seconds, you can easily miss that whole fucking scene.
Yeah, I must have.
yes.
But
And I even while watching it, I was like, you could easily miss this, like because I was kind of just laying down at the moment
Right.
watching it, and I was kind of tired. I was a little bit dozed off. The season had worn me down by this point, and I was on my last limb, and I kind of just like closed my eyes for a second and opened them, and then I see her like talking to her, and it's just a quick scene. I'm like, oh wow, I almost missed that.
I do. Okay, see, then I have a huge problem with that because in order to realize like what all the shapeshifter was doing, you'd have to go back and rewatch. How far back into the season? You have to go and rewatch because like I don't know. Because like if you just told me like, oh, when she got that picture taken in the bar, I don't remember at what point that happened and all of the events that happened after that where the shapeshifter was in.
So that happened at the end of the episode, I believe. And correct me if I'm wrong, Michael. That happened at the end of the episode where she like actually runs off and changes her appearance. That was at the very end of the episode. They have the quick cut of
Which episode?
What was the episode?
Dude, to be honest,
Again, the whole season meshes together.
That's
which
what-
is why
but
which
that's
is
my
why
point.
earlier I thought Asian girl was Ashley.
yeah.
Which there is an Asian girl named Ashley as well in the show.
I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah,
See, I don't because I remember that whole thing of the president being like, I needed you to kill what's her name? Newman. Like you had one job and that was to kill Newman, and there's at that point there's no indication that Annie's the shapeshifter, right?
Mhm.
Whoa,
No.
whoa, wait. Whoa, hold on.
Because that's how they got the clip of the president saying,
No,
No, no,
with
no,
him
no.
with him saying if you should have killed her like I had said so or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing that wasn't that in the bunker?
No, that was
in the bunker.
Yeah, he said that in the bunker.
That was in the bunker, and that footage was kind of used to
Yeah, that's but that was so.
Wait, what?
as propaganda.
No.
based.
Yeah, no. So that was before. That was right before Huey figured out that was a shape. This girl, that Andy was a
Mhm.
shapeshifter.
And then that
But-
was used.
But again, though, this is when the audience already knew this.
And by the way, who was taking that footage by the time it was on the news?
I'm sorry. Okay, we can cut all this.
No, we're keeping this.
I'm super confused.
No,
I guess I just need
exactly.
to rewatch it because that's
No, the season is confusing.
okay.
Like again, it's a blink and you miss it moment with the shapeshifter because again, when she was initially shown, it was a quick scene of a girl just asking for a photo, and then
Yeah.
it immediately cuts to the next scene. Like
Right.
with. And it takes forever to get back
There's
to the
no
point.
proper build up to it.
No
and there's
proper
no
build-up.
proper real like middle.
It's just revealed
like,
later that
yeah.
this lady that wanted a photo was actually the
but-
shapeshifter. It's like,
I will. Oh my gosh! I think I forgot what I was finally gonna say.
or was it about the bunker?
No,
No?
it was Oh, I remember now. So because one of the reasons why also where it's like so why Huey would be like more accepting of just having sex with the shapeshifter, right? Or just not really thinking about, if this is a shapeshifter Annie, was that again from his point of view, maybe Annie is wanting to have, be more sexually active with him to make him feel better after the fact that his dad died.
Mm-hmm.
That might,
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
so like it's whatever,
Mhm.
It's like Annie's being a little bitch about it.
Mhm.
Let's just be real. She's
and,
a
and
diva.
then, and then
about
it's
it.
like thrown out the window, like not even like 5 minutes later. It's like, all right, you're just getting tested for every disease. I'm like, I forgive you. I was like, why even have it?
I know.
Like,
Yeah, they could have.
there's no drama.
They legitimately should have never done the whole. So you did sleep with her. They should have just
should've just,
completely
like-
cut it. Just
Yeah, no, that
No.
was dumb. Frenchie's whole character development thing was dumb. Kimiko's thing with the
we didn't go through that. Actually.
yeah, we did
Oh,
not.
fuck.
Man, that's also man. Let me tell you that, man. Her shit is so boring, and for her thing to also randomly, for like a random scene for her story and Huey's story to intersect, fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like, what a waste of a scene. Also, whenever the guy has Huey and Kimiko in his fucking scopes or whatever, why the fuck does he not take the fucking shot?
Oh yeah.
It, like,
that's plot armor.
I don't get it. I don't get it, man. Yeah, which, speaking of plot armor, so like this show is basically, it's supposed to be like a fucking uphill battle against this huge corporation that has all these fucked up superheroes under their I forget the saying now, but they're paying them. Okay, they're getting paid to do fucked up shit or whatever. How is it that no main character has like died yet? There's like
Oh,
no
yeah.
stakes in this fucking show.
Well, that was one of the issues I have with. I was kind of talking with Liam about it. I hate whenever a show starts a season and ends a season where basically nothing has changed.
Right.
All that's changed is that the issue that they brought in at the beginning of the season has been resolved by the end of the season. So like Newman's dead. Okay. Well, that doesn't change anything from how we started at the very beginning. Like there's now at the very, very end, everybody gets arrested. Like things are changing now. That was
Sure.
kind of a relief that it's like,
Yeah.
okay, the overall story has moved forward, but man, dude, there are like zero stakes. It feels like.
Yeah, you know who could have easily and totally just died by now and no one would have batted an eye? Frenchie. I would have been okay with it. And he's important enough to where we would have felt something. He should have died in season 3. I'm just saying.
He could have died,
or in this season.
Yeah,
I'm being serious. Like this show is like if you think of main characters who have died, right? It's none of the boys and Kimiko.
Kimiko has died, but it doesn't really
That's
matter.
not- no,
it doesn't
like,
really matter.
that doesn't
'Cause she
matter.
just comes back.
That doesn't fucking count. And you know it.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm just.
Stop being a fucking loser.
Frenchie absolutely could have died, and also his transition from like he's a chemist to now he's a biochemical engineer.
Oh yeah, look,
what?
Frenchie's supposed to be the smart, resourceful guy who can eventually come up with a solution despite not being a straight up expert in the field, right? But yeah, now he's literally just like you bring him something, and he's like, I can do this because
I'm
I
French.
have master's degree.
Right, you would have thought that Vought would have been working on this virus the whole time, right? Or that as soon as Vought gets the...
I don't think Vought would have any motivation to work on it.
Oh, they were trying to figure
No.
out a way to kill Homelander.
No, if anything, like Vought would have. So for Vought, I think they would totally want to invest in having the toxin because what if Homelander does go rogue? What if another hero does go rogue? They would absolutely want contingencies. Well, then again, though, Vought is now run by Homelander, and Homelander would never want that.
Didn't they say in the recap that the virus was introduced in a secondary show?
A secondary show?
Yeah, because there's like the whole like Gen V, which is like
What?
it's a spin-off of The Boys.
Wait, what?
And some of the characters that
Oh,
appear at the
God,
end.
no.
Yeah, there we go. Connected universe. It's always got to be some fucking
What?
connected. So the character that appears at the end, the blonde girl that takes Frenchie,
Yeah.
she is from that show Gen V.
Oh,
And
I thought
think
she was
in
a.
the recap they were talking about that the virus was introduced, and I'm verifying this, so don't correct me. I'm about to verify this if I'm wrong.
I was wondering who the fuck that bitch was.
Yes, I was because I did not see.
The
I
one he
have
jumps
not
on the
seen.
video call with?
No. The blonde girl at the very end that takes
who
Frenchie with her.
mind fucks Frenchie.
Oh yeah. I was wondering where like the mind control superheroes are.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is this?
That's a big one missing,
Oh,
and then all of a
also-
sudden they don't even make it clear that was mind control.
Yeah. Oh, also, the shot where Huey and
Sorry,
Yes. The virus is introduced in another show. So outside
that is so dumb.
outside material.
Oh my god.
why wouldn't they just make this into one show? That doesn't make sense. Why make a spin-off so early?
It's
Ugh.
fucking ridiculous. So I to be fair, I did fairly understand the concept of the virus without the secondary show. So it's not like you necessarily had to see it.
No.
However, I remember it feeling a little sudden
Yeah.
when it was introduced. It's like, oh, there's a soup killing virus.
That's random.
That's random. But it was introduced in other required watching material.
Oh,
So
God.
fuck this show.
I mean, it's not Star Wars bad.
It's
say
not
that.
Star Wars bad.
but that's pretty bad.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go.
What the
let's go for
fuck happened with Starlight's powers? Why can she not do anything, and why does it come back all of a sudden?
Yeah,
There-
like the whole season, she's just not
They
able
even-
to function.
They even bring up the shapeshifters like, so why can't you use your powers? Have you
know,
figured that
yeah.
out yet? And like, yeah, no,
I'll be back
nobody
in a minute,
knows.
piss.
Nobody knows, and all of a sudden it just comes back at the very end of the season.
Mhm.
Why remove them? Why it doesn't it literally makes no sense.
Indeed.
And then the worm that's going through Butcher's like body.
Yeah, that was introduced. I think this was introduced in this season. Again, I've obviously made some mistakes earlier, kind of confusing events in certain seasons. I haven't seen the first 3 seasons in a little over a year, so
Right.
it's not fresh on my mind. But I don't recall. I do not recall at any point a worm crawling through his head.
No, and that's no, and there wouldn't have been, because I think it came from the V that he took,
Yeah.
but I don't remember there being another character where it causes another creature to live inside of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It's
because that
kinda
is
like
a
new-
distinct. That's got to be a distinct creature, right?
Yeah, that's kind of a new thing that's just randomly introduced.
Right.
It seems like what's the comparison? It seems like just an additional thing that they add to the compound V's effects in order to increase the stakes later on. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem like there was even a plan for that
yeah.
in
Well,
the beginning. It seems like, oh, we want a reason to kill Newman later, or to make Butcher a little bit more of a threat. So we're gonna introduce this whole like other little plot element of the V turning into a literal like living creature
right.
within.
and the living creature has its own like motivations, where
Yeah.
it's either pushing Butcher to go and kill all superheroes by releasing it into the air, which would also kill the worm, or it would. I don't understand like what it is. Does it turn into the tentacles? And also, what other superhero has had to negotiate with another living creature in order to like gain access to its powers? I genuinely don't get it. And if the creature has the ability to just take over, why doesn't it? I understand that this will probably be stuff that's explored in the next season, but
Right.
it's completely unprecedented.
Mhm.
Then you also have the justification, like all the animals that get the V into their system. It's said that it's because the V got into the water, right? And then the animals drank it and got superpowers, when it's always had to be injected.
Mhm.
On top of that, in season 1, whenever A-Train's girlfriend takes the V, it's a temporary thing.
Mhm.
Like the blue stuff is temporary, and she just gets a kick. And I think what they were trying to do is A-Train had to keep taking it in order to keep like boosting his powers. And so I think maybe they were trying to take in that direction, that like anybody who like any of the superheroes have to like constantly inject themselves to maintain their powers. I've never understood.
No, so the compound V obviously is what gave them their powers in the first place, right? After the they were, I believe, first injected or regularly injected when they were children or infants. The compound V, if you are already super, if you inject it, it simply amplifies your abilities. Hence why with A-Train, because of his age and he's slowing down, he had to use compound V to give him that boost,
Sure.
that extra oomph, to go past his current limitations because of his age.
But his girlfriend temporarily gains powers.
No. She always had powers.
I don't think so.
No, yes. Because in the Dirty film she's in, like her name, what's her name again? I forget actually. Her superhero name. Like she already had, she had abilities. I think the compound V just amplifies their abilities and gets them high essentially. That's how I took the scene.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know then, man. But for
Popclaw.
Popclaw. See, okay.
And the name goes with her abilities that have random fucking the claw pops out.
Okay, maybe so. Okay, maybe so. But either way, just drinking the V gives you the same effect now?
Yeah, no. That's a no bueno there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't and don't argue like, well, animal biology is different from human biology. Like, okay.
Well, yeah, and there's the whole drinking, and they were drinking it long enough to sustain having powers to the extent that Butcher had it after taking Compound V for like several months.
Well, if it is permanent, like from the first time that you take it, then Butcher, I guess, getting the powers is
But it has no effect on
fine.
Huey after the fact either.
Well, so okay.
Huey didn't take the blue stuff. He only. Oh, you're talking about. No. The blue stuff is what.
You're right.
Yeah.
I remember. Sorry. Again, over a year since I've seen the first 3 seasons, so I have to recollect a lot of the information.
Oh my god.
I watched the entire series in 2 days.
I'm fucking exhausted. Okay.
Listen, I have not watched the first 3 seasons in a hot fucking minute.
You know what sucks is that after this, I'm gonna then have to watch House of the fucking Dragon 2 times with Jacob, and then we're gonna have to fucking talk about that show for about an hour or so. So I'm running on fucking fumes. Okay, I don't want to hear your excuses. You piece of shit.
No, you're right. It was a detail I forgot about.
Yeah.
No, it's just weird, man. The V thing's got to be more consistent.
And again, so now please correct me if I'm wrong, because with season 3, I'm really iffy on this, on my memory on this one. So I thought, Huey and Butcher were only taking the green temporary compound V, which was
Correct.
V22. Is that what the code name was for it?
Okay, just flex on us, all right?
I don't even know if I'm right. I don't know if it is V22.
I never paid attention. It was the green stuff.
The green stuff, because I know that Butcher took it more than Huey did, right?
Right. He took a
Hence
couple
why
extra doses.
Butcher has super cancer,
Right.
and
Correct.
Huey does not.
Correct.
Because going on to like why, were you guys talking about like why is it that Butcher has a random figment of his imagination that he talks to, or because again, I was in the bathroom when you guys were talking about this part.
So that was explained whenever Huey gets the blue stuff from A-Train.
yeah.
Butcher is around the corner and he's like, "Really, Huey? I thought you were above this." And Huey's like, "You're dying. You should get it. Why? There's enough of this for both my dad and you." And he's like, "I already tried it and it didn't work." So Butcher had admitted once again, the showrunners showwriters just threw in shit
A random element.
that happened off screen and was never shown, and all of a sudden we're told about it. So Butcher does admit that he took the blue stuff already, and he's saying there was no effect on him.
I see.
But then I guess the worm is the result of it. What we were talking about is that it doesn't make any sense for it to have created a new living creature. We've never seen that. Which obviously we've seen like V's does different stuff to every person. It's never created a living creature that has its own motivations and that you have to negotiate with it in order to gain access to its powers. That's weird.
Unless it's in the outside reading material.
Right. I guess the only thing you can maybe try to think is, or try to when he took the compound V, not only was it, I guess, maybe the tumor in his body is the one that absorbed those like I was gonna say nutrients, but that's not the right word. But you know what I mean. And I guess the tumor itself then got the superpower.
No, I
and-
think it's the worm. I think it's the worm that goes through him, like that scene moving around him.
I think the
Right.
worm is we know that to an extent the worm is like just a whole separate being in and of itself.
okay.
because
I'm
the,
so
It's
confused.
also a part of
well,
him.
You
I-
remember when Ezekiel was choking Butcher out?
Yeah,
and
I
then
remember.
He
And
passes
then
out?
he
But
blacked
the
out. And
worm,
Ezekiel died.
but the worm, you can see
Yeah.
like goes,
Yeah.
and then he blacks out, and then Ezekiel gets torn apart. I'm pretty sure the worm is the, I guess, superhero.
Mhm.
But it's just a. I don't understand the dynamic. It's not explained much, like
Maybe
most
the
things
worm
that are.
is the cancer
I,
made given life, baby.
well, I think they do reference the actual worm being the tumor.
Oh yeah. Okay, then that's what I'm remembering.
through the
yeah.
dynamic with Mr. CIA agent or Negan, because again, I think Negan even references himself as the tumor, which is also the worm, which is also the separate being, which
well, the tumor
Com-
came before he took V, like the blue stuff.
yes,
Right.
the tumor. So he got the tumor from
the
taking
green
the
stuff.
temp,
Right.
from taking the temporary stuff,
Yes.
and then apparently took the blue stuff.
Right.
Tumor now becomes a worm.
What the?
Yeah, he already tried it off screen. Off screen.
Yeah.
But.
Are we saying it makes sense? Not necessarily. We're just that's probably our best bet.
Oh no, yeah, no, it probably is. I'm just. This is the.
I had to refresh my memory real fast.
This is what the show writers have to explain. You can't. They have to explain why Starlight's powers just stopped working randomly. How you could just drink V, and because I would have figured if somebody knew that you could just drink V, that somebody would have gone off the rails and just started dumping it into the water supply. That would have been interesting.
It feels like they needed another season in between
Yeah.
to kind of justify having all these
Oh
plot
yeah, I think we
elements.
talked about it a bit. Where this feels like it is a part one of a part two
No,
season.
this feels like
Yeah.
it feels like they skipped a season.
Well, I don't know about that.
This definitely felt like a setup season.
Oh
It-
yeah.
yeah.
It's like they're plucking Homelander's hairs. They've got the
Mhm.
worm. They've got like there's a lot. It's not just a teaser for the next season. It's a lot of unanswered questions that really, man, it would have really helped to make this feel like its own season if they had done a
Like
little
I
bit
think
more.
there was so much there was so much fluff you could have removed, and that what you could have done was what we got from this whole season could have been half of a single season. Like what I saw could have been the first 4 episodes or
Yeah,
first
I
5
agree.
episodes of a true to form 8-episode series
Yeah.
or a season, I should say. That's what it felt like to me.
This felt a lot like that whole philosophy of the mystery box, like what we had with episode 7 of Star Wars, where they
Yeah.
just made up a shitload of stuff to like get the audience questioning
Right.
things, and then you get the issue up, they forget about the shit that they set up and just don't answer it.
I remember.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 things that I did really enjoy in this season. My second favorite thing is just Huey and his dad Hugh.
Oh yeah,
I think all that was
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
I enjoyed every scene with him and his dad and his mom showing up.
I hated his mom.
What's up?
I
Oh,
hated his mom.
yeah, she's not a good
She was-
person,
no,
or
it's
she wasn't
not
a good
even-
person.
She had zero depth, dude. She was
Mhm.
just there to. I don't know. She didn't feel like a person.
Sure, I mean, I don't think her inclusion takes anything away from it, though.
I just think it could have just been. I wish that they had asserted her as a person instead of just having her come in and be a punching bag. And she was way too vague. It left way too much for the audience to question. It's like, what is she? What is she?
And I do like how Hugh, because I believe his name is Hugh,
I think
right?
it is.
Maybe he's just Huey Senior.
Hugh is fine.
I'll call
We'll
him
call him
Hugh.
Hugh.
I'll call him Simon Pegg.
Shut the fuck up.
Simon Pegg.
Yeah, that's the actor.
I'll peg
Oh.
you.
Yeah, you're about to get pegged.
Yeah.
Hey.
Frenchie got pegged.
dude.
Or do you think he was the one who did the?
Do you think Frenchie's
No
the pegger?
way.
Yeah, you think he's the bottom? He's
Do
the
it for sure.
submit-
He's the bottom,
Okay, gotcha. I know. I agree with you. What a weak character.
dude. Yeah, they
Weak man.
emasculated the shit out of him.
Anyways, let's focus. But I like Hugh when he's basically like his memory is all just completely just gone, where he's trying to get to his 11-year-old son.
Oh yeah.
And he sees his ex-wife, and he's just pissed.
Yes.
And I personally I really liked that. Like
Yes.
her inclusion with this whole thing was fantastic. I got that great scene from it.
Yeah.
Go on.
Continue.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You positive?
Yes.
Okay. So as I was saying, I think even if everything about her was average, just getting that one bit of him yelling at her with his memory all fucked,
Yes.
all worth it.
Yeah.
Because that was great.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, I'm on board with you, Charles. Like her character wasn't anything to go crazy about, and if anything,
Oh
there
yeah.
was a lot to not really like about her. But I think that was kind of the
Yeah, but it's not
goal
how-
of the show.
It's not how any normal person would have acted. If you come back and see your son after how many years after abandoning him?
Mhm.
Ooh.
and you just expect everything to be all right.
No, it's
Yeah,
not just that. It makes her seem completely apathetic. Like she has no motivation. She's just like, your father and I have been talking for the last year. And instead of immediately starting off like, hey, look, I'm sorry I left you. Like the elephant in the room, she just lets him do whatever she lets him do whatever without like at least explaining the situation or anything. Like clearly that's not helping.
Mhm.
to-
But I don't
I think-
I don't think humans do the most rational things at
It's-
all times.
It's to me, it's like the Ryan scene where it served the purpose that it needed to serve, but it wasn't necessarily executed fairly well.
Right. No.
Although I will say this was executed a hell of a lot better than the scene with Ryan.
I think you'll two will have to agree to disagree. I'm sure.
I think you're just wrong.
Me. What did I do?
I think everybody's wrong except me. I think.
Okay, in and out.
I'm still. I
I'm
have
never-
made it. I've made it super clear. I am both right whenever I said, or whenever I talked about in and out the first time, and I'm right whenever I apologized. I'm right both times. I'm simultaneously correct with opposite things.
The final scene between Hugh and Huey. Huey saying goodbye to his pops.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, the acting on display. I am just super impressed with the actors. I think they both fucking killed it, that scene. And here's the thing. I didn't cry, I didn't even tear up. It takes a lot for any fucking random scene or a scene in any TV show, movie, book, or whatever to even make me like somewhat tear up. Takes a lot. This, it didn't quite get there, but
On the verge.
it was
on the verge.
No, because I mean, it made me think of like me, like my dad. I never got to say bye to my dad, shit like that. And like I was like, I felt for Huey. Again, though, if my dad was still alive, I probably wouldn't give a fuck. So obviously, they're cheating. Obviously, they're cheating. I mean, I have a dead dad, so I mean that doesn't mean much. But no, it was great. I really enjoyed that scene. Some people, I'm sure, probably were like, "Did we really need Hugh's dad to be, randomly have a stroke or something?"
Sure.
And like,
Yeah. Why
don't you
not?
think it took away from the main plot? Fuck off. It was good.
No, I think it was
It
great.
was
Yeah,
probably one of
it's
the few good things from the season.
It is the second best thing about this season.
Dude, it's a very real thing.
What's the first?
Everything with Homeland.
Oh, everything. Okay, fair. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
also just a very real thing. Whenever
Yes.
you've got a parent in a hospital for a prolonged period of time, it's like always, it's
Yeah.
always in the back of your head of what's going on. They did a very good job with it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's fine. Yeah.
I cannot think of a single scene where Homelander is not like, I'm not interested in what's happening on screen.
Oh yeah.
Whether Homelander's being intimidating to people or when he is playing submissive to one of to someone else because they have like the power dynamic has switched, you
Yeah.
know? Like Edgar, I forget his last name.
Alan Poe.
Anyways, Edgar, the former CEO of Vought, like scenes with like him and Homelander were always so great.
Yeah.
But again, this isn't really about Edgar or anything like that. I was just, again, any scene with Homelander, which includes Edgar, it's just been phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much tension in a lot of the scenes he's in, you know, and like he's gonna do something, right? You're so confident, but then he doesn't do something.
Yeah.
And then when you think he's not gonna do something, he fucking murders someone.
Right.
Like it's bloody brilliant. I love everything with Homelander.
It was cool to have his background explained of like why he is the way that he is, but and it's really fucked up shit. Like it's stuff that happened to him that he might not have ended up the way that he ended up had it not been for that. But also at the end of the day, he's still just not a good person, and he has to be stopped.
What I'm going to say about Homelander is my same belief when it comes to the character Allison from the show House of the Dragon. So both characters are really terrible in their own way. Okay, but both series explore why they are the way they are. And I've said this many times during our House of the Dragon review, that Allison is a terrible mother. You cannot defend her. But you can explain why she's a bad mother.
Right.
People apparently swoosh. They fucking missed it. Because like, of course it's logical. Of course you can defend Allison. Because her situation was so shitty, blah, 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 blah. Like, no. Apparently, people do not understand the English fucking language and the definition of words. You are explaining and you are understanding why she is the way she is, but that's not defending it, because you cannot defend that behavior. With Homelander, it is the same thing. I understand his situation. He was dealt a really shitty fucking hand, and the people who essentially were quote unquote raising him are vile, disgusting creatures.
Yep.
And monsters bred another monster, and that sucks. And again, I just explained why he is the way he is. The showrunners showed me why he has become what he has become. But I'm not trying to defend it.
Right.
He is a vile piece of shit. And what I'm really trying to get to is, I believe a lot of people were saying that, or were making fun of people who were apparently idolizing Homelander. Is that true? Are there a lot of people who thought Homelander was like, not in show, I'm talking about like
right in real life,
in real life, where like people were apparently like looked up to Homelander?
Yeah. No,
I don't recall. I wasn't big in the fucking community or anything like that. I'm still not going to be.
I'm not big in the community either.
Yeah, but even dumb people should not be fooled to think that Homelander is someone to look up to.
Right.
I don't see how there's actually people who are alive who think that.
What I found hilarious about the show is why they, in principle, probably established their point that was never really so. The whole idea that people saw Homelander as the hero. No one ever did. I was like, I cannot think of one person that ever saw Homelander as the hero. Why they were making it clear that Homelander was very much the villain of the series through season 4. They made him the best character, and he's the one I'm most excited to see next season.
Oh yeah, seriously. Just because he's my favorite character doesn't mean I look up to him, you idiot.
So congratulations, you made me love Homelander as a character even more.
Yeah.
The fact that they were trying to paint a lot of their other characters as being the sympathetic ones, and I just don't care. And they bring all the attention to Homelander, and he just fucking nails it out of the park. And their whole like message was like, you can't see Homelander as the hero. People actually like this guy. And then I watch it, I was like, bro, more Homelander, dude. Like if your goal was to get people to really dislike Homelander, personally, I don't think you accomplished it.
Oh no, they failed. Which, I mean, given how they failed at a lot of other things this season, I mean, it checks out. But this time, their failure actually gave us something good. Apparently, piece of shit.
No, you can tell that the writers do care about the characters, and it's really frustrating that the majority of the issue that I have with the show is that they mix it in with current politics. Because if they had given Homelander his own personality instead of applying, Trump and fascism and right-wing ideology. If they, instead of just like copying that and pasting it onto his face, they just make him a kind of a piece of shit with his own motivations and his own rhetoric and all that kind of stuff, he would have been a really, really, really strong character.
Yeah.
Because the way that they portray his background makes total sense. The person that he is now makes total sense. He's still a piece of shit that needs to be stopped. And it's just the politics that hold him back.
All right. Thanks for watching, you fucking shits. I think we're going to call it here, though. Those are our thoughts on The Boys, season 4. But subscribe. We need money. God, we need money. Especially Liam.